Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Tirza Schaefer. I'm an author of mainly romance novels and series, and my two main ones that I'm working on at the moment are the Seals in Spain trilogy. The first book is out here, Tank it's called, and they're kind of interrelated with the second series as well, which is called the MILF Diaries, and which at the moment, as I'm recording this, book 1 Izzy and book 2 Ria are out. I'm working on book 3 of the series, and yeah, and writing, of course, as the my work in progress is at the moment is the 30th book that I'm going to publish. I thought it would be time to do a writing course as well to improve myself even more. Even though I've got, you know, good feedback and all that and good reviews, it's still so good to develop as an author. And I met Gina, and she invited me to, you know, to take part in her courses, of which there are 9 writing courses. So I thought, you know, let's do them all. And I was so excited. I didn't know what to expect in detail, but I was just so happy and excited and grateful that I actually found this awesome offer, which is such good value for money. And I know a lot of people you know, who are struggling as well at the moment will be very happy that this is really affordable for everyone. Okay, so plus you get discounts if you book like 3 sessions together and things like that. So and Gina is so accommodating. If you have like a writer's circle, a local one or something, and you have a little group going, she'll be happy to book you in together as a group and do this, you know, course or courses, especially for you, you know, and you can agree on an appointment, time and date, and that with her. So she is just amazing, and she goes out of her way for everyone, you know, to give the best possible value, and she really aces it. So that up front. And I would like to tell you a little bit about the workshops themselves, because I was just, every time I came out there glowing and thinking, oh my God, this is so good, this is so good, you know, and I've learned so much again. And you know, I can't stress enough how important that is, even for a very experienced and seasoned writer. But I've not had the opportunity before to work with somebody like an editor who's, you know, giving courses like that, so that I could afford. So I was so happy to have this, and let me tell you, it was worth every penny and more. So that up front. So I'm going to talk to you about, she's got like 3x3 called like different sessions, and that's because they're like on different levels as well. First is the basic stuff, then comes the intermediate, and then is advanced. And but all of them itself are very valuable. And don't think just because you've written a few books, you know, you don't need to know what's in there, because you do, trust me, you will learn new things. A lot of new things, even if you do a lot of researching yourself and so on. Gina is just brilliant, and also in the way she presents it. And you do exercises together, live, online, so so everybody can talk about, you know, about their own work as well. So it's interactive. It's not just you watching, and maybe you can ask some questions at the end, but like it's really interactive, and she goes into everyone's works and thoughts and things like that. So you know, so you can ask questions, you can discuss your own work, you can give feedback on other people's work as well, which is very valuable to have different opinions, you know, and see how certain things, concepts and ideas that you have, if you ran that by other authors, you know, how they take it, if they're going with it, if they find points where where you can improve your work or something like that, that is just absolutely wonderful. And I've really cherished this experience so much. Okay, but let's get going. So the first big three, you. So the first of the first is theme / genre, and that is something that you think, how the hell can you make a whole 2 hour, I think it's 2 hours, isn't it, like a whole 2 hour workshop on just that. It's just like, I don't know, romance, fantasy, self-help, whatever, it's like you don't need to talk about it that much. That's what I thought, but then I thought, nah, Gina wouldn't do that. she's got a good reason to make a whole workshop out of that itself, and yes, she did. We actually went a lot over time on that one because we had so much more to ask, to discuss, and so on, that a lot of things were coming up. You'd be surprised. Something that seems so simple and so straightforward. There's so much background information coming with that, also in relation to like agents and traditional publishers and so on. So you don't want to miss that, as there's like a host of information there, and it's really is a treasure trove. So that was the first one that really set me up. It's like, yeah, it's so good. And moving on to the second one, that was all about plot and conflict. So how do you put, first of all, how do you structure your plot? There has to be some conflict in it. What kind of conflict? How do you going to put it in there? That kind of things, So like your story has to have like a goal. You have to get somewhere with it. You have to bring across some kind of message. You have to develop your characters, and so forth. So what is important about a good plot, setting that up, that idea, how to structure it. So the basic story idea, and all that flows into it, and your decision making about your story and so on. Really, I'm going to say that for each and every single one, because I really feel that way. I'm not just doing it because she's a friend of mine or anything like that. I'm just really totally loving her courses. Okay, so we weren't really friends before that. We are now. No, I mean, we were kind of, we just met recently before, and I interviewed her, but we didn't know each other that well. That's what I'm saying. Not like I didn't like her, now I do, or anything like that. I've always liked her. So, yeah. So, and she was my first interview. That's how we kind of, got into this. And the first author interview I did, an editor interview in this case. And I really loved it as well. So, yeah, that's how we hit it off. And then I took part in her writing courses, and it was just, the best thing I've ever done for myself as an author, to do that. So the third one in this first 3-pack is story structure. So here, Gina went more into talking about how a story is structured. We got like a little picture thingy, like a graph thing, and and again, we had all the time, we had like exercises we did together, things we had to write down, and and like draw as well. It was just amazing, and I've learned so much in that one, and a lot of surprising things, because I always thought I'm somebody who just just sits down and writes, and whatever comes kind of thing, like being really spontaneous and not planning very much. My first books, I haven't even planned at all. They just kind of, came out. Well, of course, as you go along and things become more complex and things like that. So, you start planning, but I've always thought I've left a lot of room for being spontaneous about it, and I've actually been surprised how much I do, like instinctively. without thinking about that I'm doing it, but I'm actually doing it. I'm putting that kind of structure in, and that was something good. I was like, oh, cool, you know. So even though I hadn't even um, learned that in such a context, but I've kind of done it subconsciously already. Um, and the good thing about that is also once you understand what you're doing, or maybe not doing, but also if you're doing it, you know, once you understand that and you understand the pattern behind it, you are then more confident to go forth and, you know, do that, improve on it and everything. I mean, we always develop as writers, don't we? We should anyway. But it's, yeah, so those three were just amazing. And I thought, oh my God, you know, can it get any better? So the next one is level 2 now. The first of this is lights, camera, action, which sounds like, and yes, I would love to have my books made into film one day, of course. Big movie screen. But this one is less to do with movie screens, but more about converting passive voice to active voice. And I'm not going to spoil that and explain it all to you what that is, but trust me, that's kind of a, yeah, almost a make and break thing. It can be very often for the reader to like engage and connect to your characters and to the story. So that is a really important point that you will definitely not want to miss, you know. So yeah, it sounds playful, but trust me, that's like so important. You want to take part in that one and learn about it more. Right. The second one on level 2 is show me your world. And that's the importance of visual effects. And here again, we have this movie, but it's not about like watching a movie, it's about your mind movie. So how do you create that mind movie with black and white words on a page? Okay, how do you make that the reader see things without seeing them? You know, seeing them in front of their inner eye and really having in their imagination that movie running as they read along, read through the book. So that is something you have to show, you know, not just um, tell the reader about it, but really show it and, you know, make it come alive in their minds. And that's, you know, there's been a lot of examples that she's used and, you know, exercises we've done as well again. And, you know, it's on all of them, there were exercises. And it was just so, it was so educational. And also I was like, I had so many light bulb moments, you know, throughout the whole series of workshops. I was like, all the time, I was like, bling, 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 you know, going on here all the time. Absolutely love that. So yeah, that is a very important one as well. That can make or break your story. When people can't see what you're writing about in front of their inner eye, they can't really connect. And when they can't really connect, you've lost them. And that's a very important thing, you know. So that explains further on how you make people connect. So the third one in that cycle is say it with meaning. And it's all about that characters speak more than just, you know, with actually speaking, but you know, there's so much more in it, like the tone, the facial expression, the body language, and so on. All of this is going towards creating a character that is relatable, that you can visualize, and that really becomes human in your mind when you read it. And you know, and that is a very important thing. So how do you present that person? Where do you put things in? And you know, and like for example, I've got a book that starts in the middle of the action, so I don't really have time to describe anybody in that moment. But then of course you can bring it in little bits and pieces and so on. So it was just so amazing and interesting. I was really floored with how much that helped me to improve my writing and, you know, make me aware of a lot of things as well that I wasn't aware of before. So brilliant. Yeah, so, and the last cycle, that is something I didn't pay much attention to before in terms of really planning it out or jotting it down and things, but I've done a good part of that in my head. But it's in many cases it's better when you write things down, and I did, but not in so much detail as we did in the exercises here. And it also of course depends on your book, you know, how many different characters you have and to know about, and you know, because you really need to know your own characters as well, obviously, and so on, you know, and how that the whole story kind of develops, you know. So the first thing of that is drafting an outline, and that doesn't have to be rocket science. It's actually once you know how it goes, it's kind of simple, and like the structure itself, it makes total sense, and then you can kind of fill in, you know, you've got like yeah, it's like a diagram, and you can put like little bits in there just to help you move along, you know, and you can still leave lots of room for spontaneous bursts of inspiration as well, you know, the characters hijacking your story and going into a different direction, which happened more than once when I was writing a book. But yeah, um, so that's something that really helps as well. Also to kind of, you know, just check back and see like, okay, is that going in that direction? Am I missing out on something? You know, just as a loose guideline as well. And so it gives you, it's just like a bit of the skeleton of the whole thing, you know, and then you can slowly fill it up with, you know, with the pieces, with the meat, you know, add the meat on it. So the next one, the second one in that last cycle, is character development, and that was, oh, that was so interesting. All of them were so interesting. Well, I really love talking about that because my own books are very character centered. So that was especially, you know, of interest for me. And there are so many different aspects, some of which I knew and, you know, made use of and um, incorporate in my writing, but like also a lot of points that I wasn't really so aware of. And bringing that to my attention in that way, you know, learning about this and also the reasons why. That is very important as well, that you understand, not just like, oh, you have to do it like that, but why is that a good thing to do, you know? And Gina will have so many um, examples. She will work with you on, you know, in the exercises on your work, and so, you know, so you can always like take a paragraph out of your work and, you know, and show that, read it to the class, and you know, you can give each other pointers as well, maybe left something out, or you know, you get feedback like, oh, that's really good, I can picture that in my mind already, you know. And there's no right or wrong, it's just, you know, we're all honing our skills. And Gina is a very kind and supportive person, so you never have to be scared that um, it'll hurt when she tells you something like a point of critique maybe, but she is there to help you, and that totally comes across as a very loving and very supportive atmosphere. Okay, so for those of you who are shy and sensitive, you are really in good hands with her there. Okay, so you don't have to be scared or anything. And if you really totally do not want to read from your work, nobody's forcing you either. So we had that with one lady in one course. So, and that was totally okay. Everybody was totally behind her as well. So don't worry about anything, okay? It's all there to learn and to grow together and to support each other as well. that's the aim of the game, you know. So the last one of all is world building, and that is, for me as a contemporary writer, I thought it wasn't such a big deal because I don't have to make up whole new worlds like you do in science fiction and fantasy, for example, you know, when you're like in different galaxies or, you know, kind of various dimensions or whatever, depending. But it is surprising how much it is important to actually you know, to make sure that you've got things in place, literally, you know. So if you talk, and also, you know, especially in the real world, if you say like she's driving from New York to Tennessee in 2 hours, but it's going to take longer than that, doesn't it? So, you know, you have to check your facts, of course, as well. And maybe, you know, if you describe streets or things like that, have a look at Google Map and whatever. But there's so much more to it as well. So that's just a tiny little glimpse of everything that, you know, Gina will give you in these courses that is just amazing. It's ram-packed full of information. She's always there. You can always contact her again. You can ask questions on the blog as well, because that helps other people to, you know, they might have the same questions as well. So when they read that, it might help them to, you know, to learn something more. So, but you know, if you have a private request, that's totally okay as well to contact her, and she'll be happy to help you. It's not like, okay, the workshop is over and you can't talk to me again anymore, kind of thing. She's totally there. If you still have questions about anything, you can contact her and she'll get back to you whenever she can. So obviously she's a really busy editor. She has so much to do because she's good and people love to, you know, engage her as an editor. But she always make time for people, you know, who contact her and have questions and all that, you know, and have a chat about it and answer questions and things like that. So, you know, don't be shy. She is so approachable. She's such a kind lady. And all the content of these, I mean, that is like, do you know when you pack something up, like you do care packages for people in the military, and you put it all in these plastic bags and then you suck the air out so it keeps? It's like, you know, and it's like really compressed content in there, right? What you've got in there. I'm not talking about food now. I'm talking about, that's what Gina does. Is like she has this container of one course jam-packed with so much information. So you have to write along, take notes, make sure you're taking notes and all that. And then, you know, when you think about it afterwards and you really go through your notes again and everything and you let it sink in, that's like letting the air in, and it goes just like even more, you know. You've had all these light bulb moments, you've learned so much already, and then, but then it goes even more, like when you're writing your next book or the project that you're working on at the moment, you keep on writing, you're like, you know, it's like, I don't know, this feeling is just, it's just opening up thing, you know, doors inside you that you never knew existed. That could be opened, you know. It's just, it's so inspirational as well. I had so the book I'm writing in at the moment, Reina, and the one that comes after, Sassy, I've been discussing both of them in during those courses, and I basically got my whole outline for that because I just had rough ideas about them, and I got my whole outline of it, and you know, and the characters really came to life in my head. And I fleshed out more with ideas about details and, you know, and different scenes and things. It was just so inspirational. It just got my creative juices flowing like like nobody's business, right? And I had a flu and I was so sick. I was actually in bed with a blanket up to my nose, like, but I don't want to miss this. So, I was still taking part because I really did not want to miss this. And I made sure that even with my flu befuddled brain, which thank God wasn't COVID, thank you, and I'm all well again. Even with that, you've got a headache, you can't think properly and all that, but I made so sure that I focused, I've written everything down and all that, and I went over that afterwards, and I know I can contact Gina anytime I like, when I have another question, and and I'm sure she'll be able to give me some pointers on that as well, and answer that. So it's been an incredible experience. I've made some wonderful connections with fellow authors through this as well, which was uh, an absolutely brilliant byproduct of the whole thing. And I can only tell you, this course is really, it's so valuable, especially if you've never done anything like that before. But even if you have, I've done courses in different things, like spiritual courses and things like that, not necessarily with writing, but and I come from a family of teachers, so I can tell you with a lot of, and I'm a parent, I've always worked with the teachers as well, because I've been in voluntary jobs, positions in the school, helping with a lot of things. So I've always had a very strong connection with the teachers, and I've been talking about like behind the scenes kind of things as well. And I can tell you, being a teacher is not easy. Presenting your stuff is not easy. And bringing so much value into one single course, one single session is just amazing. It's jam-packed full of information, of exercise, of everything. And she manages to put that in there. I don't know how she does it. I probably would need 3 hours just to talk about it, one aspect of what she discusses, but it's still, it doesn't feel like she's rushing you or anything. It just feels like, oh my God, oh yeah, okay, let me write that down. And you're just spellbound, with all that's coming at you, and you're like, wow, and then you're doing these exercises, and then you go like, you didn't understand something before, and then you're writing, and it's like, I'm not sure if I'm right, and then suddenly things click and fall into place, all these puzzle pieces that were a bit of in a jumble in your head before, and it was such a special, amazing experience. So I want everybody else to have that kind of feeling as well. So if you're on the fence on deciding whether you want to do that or not, do that. And if there aren't any new dates out there yet, just contact Gina and ask. Be put on a waiting list, or if you have a little group, she'll be happy to do that with a little group, and do those kind of courses then, by agreement. So yeah, that's that's my little piece, and maybe not so little piece, on this whole thing. And I'm so happy I took part. So enjoy, go do it, enjoy, and write your most incredible work ever. Okay.